I'll go. Captain Thackeray's never failed Divinity's reach. If I can help him, I will. Balthazar bless me. That's the spirit that'll win this war. Good luck.
So this is one of the ways we tell our story. As Randy mentioned before, we want to try to develop a really unique art style. So we use a lot of blending of 2D and 3D artwork. You also notice other players in this area. This is a multiplayer area. One thing I wanted to point out is our use of weather effects. So it's raining, it's thundering, it's storming here. Now we've set that for this area to kind of create a mood, to create a feeling of danger. When we get out into the persistent world, you'll notice that weather effects can kind of change. Weather systems can be altered by events, so players can actually kind of have a hand in helping determine what the weather of a place is. We also have a full night and day cycle. And different events will go off depending on that night and day cycle. So you'll notice we make a lot of use of voice. So for example, that character was just letting us know that the gates have been barred and that we need to wait until they're able to open them. We didn't have to go read any text or talk to a character to learn that. We just kind of heard it from the guy. That's a good example of how we want to try to immerse the player in the world. We have tens of thousands of lines of dialogue in the game. I think we did a calculation, it's more than 60 feature-length films.
Stay close. They barred the garrison gate, but we need to be ready to move when it opens again.
Do you want to... Okay. Matthew's just changed attunement into water attunement. You'll notice his skills changed when he did that. So water attunement for an elementalist is more of a support attunement. He'll find lots more skills that do things like heal friends, while they inflict damage on enemies, things like that. This is part of what we want to do with our professions, is make them versatile. So there's another elementalist in water attunement, so Matthew's going to go back to fire, so they've got one of them doing each of the elements. And you'll notice he does that really, really quickly. He doesn't have to rearrange a lot of things. And he can change roles kind of on the fly. So there's another player that's playing a warrior right there. There's another warrior that just ran by it.
The centaurs are in the garrison. Rally to Captain Thackeray.
Okay. So we just ran into our first dynamic event. So again, to point out, you know, Matthew didn't have to go up to a quest giver. He didn't have to accept a quest or anything like that. We're told that centaurs are in the garrison. We can come in and see that the garrison is in trouble. And we can come in and help out. Why don't you look behind you real quick? Oh, you lost your friends there.
They should come in here. They're making more centaurs.
So you notice Matthew switched to water so that he can heal some of his NPC friends there. And then you also notice some of the players that were back out on that bridge before just kind of came in and joined us. So the important thing to note here, Matthew's not grouped with these players. They, haven't chosen to play together specifically. Instead, they're just in the world together. They've got common goals. You'll notice that there are more and more centaurs coming in. It's because the event is dynamically scaling upward to accommodate more players. We want seeing other players in the world to always be a good thing. We never want you to see other players and think, well, those players are just going to steal my mobs, or they're just going to steal something from me. We want the game to be a really cooperative kind of experience. So Matthew's able to play with these people, even though he's not grouped with them, and know that they all have common goals. And again, they're all sharing rewards. None of them are stealing loot from each other, none of them are stealing experience from each other, they're just playing together. So they've completed this event, and even the players who came in toward the end of it have gotten credit for it because they helped out. This event will now chain into kind of a really simple second event, which is a boss encounter.
Mark 6 God, what is that? It's huge.
That, soldier, is a threat. We're going to take it down. Forward!
So this is another example of the thing that I talked about earlier, which is just that we want to put players in really exciting situations right off the bat. We don't want them to have to wait until they're hours and hours and hours in the game before they kind of start seeing cool boss encounters, seeing big, large, impressive creatures. We want them to see those things immediately. Another thing to note, all the players playing in this scenario are all getting credit for attacking this boss and for defeating him.
Not done yet. Brace yourselves. It's gonna explode.
So now that was the end of kind of our tutorial area. So we're going to head out into the real world, and you guys can see how the game will kind of open up.
What happened?
First, we'll continue our personal story.
You were injured when the elemental exploded. Captain Thackeray brought you here personally. You've been unconscious for 3 days. You had lots of visitors.
So,
Villagers
something
you
to point out,
rescued,
this
some
is
survived,
a point
and
when
even a
the
tavern
story
keeper
starts
from the city
branching
was
based on
daughter.
decisions that we
She
made,
came
questions
by
that we
every day.
answered at the beginning. So we
That'd
answered
be my
that we
friends
were
Andrew and
commoners
Petra.
at the beginning, which
I'll have
means
to go see them
that
once I'm
our
fully
friends
recovered.
Andrew and Petra, who
What should I
own
do
a
now?
tavern in our local neighborhood, have come to visit
Fresh
us.
air and exercise.
Had we
are
chosen to
best
be a
medicine.
noble, we would have found
The
that our
goddess
noble
Glinda
friend
helped
Lord
you.
Farron had come to
Perhaps
visit us.
you could
Had
help
we chosen
others?
to be from the streets, we would have found that
Thanks.
our
I will.
shady friend Quinn
And thanks for
had come
taking
by
such good
to
care
chat
of me.
with us. So things really
Not at
start
all.
branching out here.
Shaymore is in your debt. May Duena protect you in your travels.
So we finished part of our story, so we get rewarded. Matthew can pick his reward here. And then he also leveled up during that encounter, and so now he can assign a few attribute points and check on his journal. This is your story journal. It's where everything that you do in your personal story is written down. It's done kind of in a first-person journal style, again to reinforce the fact that this is your story. He can also look at it to see what he needs to do next in his story. In this particular case, he's being told to talk to Watchman Revick. Watchman Revick is an interesting NPC. He's part of our scout system, and our scout system came directly about from the way our dynamic event system works.
The fields around Shaymore are quite as breadbasket. We all work hard to get what we need, but it's dangerous when bandits and even the wildlife have it out for you. We welcome any help you could give.
So what our scout system does is it helps a certain type of player really get into our dynamic event system. So because of its very nature, dynamic events, you can never really count on where they're going to be. You know, they occur at different times, different places in the world. You never quite know what the status of the world is going to be. There's no place you can go in the world and for sure have, you know, a bang over a guy's head and know that you have something there to do. For players who are really heavy explorers, that's actually a great thing. And we found that, you know, players who have that strong explorer instinct, they really enjoy going out into the world, finding things to do, and they encounter dynamic events along the way. But some of our players, you know, they like a little bit more direction, they like a checklist of things to do, and so we came up with this scout system. What the scout system is doing is telling us, hey, there are some people out here who need a little bit of help. We might go to Farmer Dia, and there are little activities and things that you can do in that area. Not quests or anything like that, just kind of little things to interact with in the environment. So when we get to Farmer Dia, we might find out that we can pick up bundles of hay and feed our cows. We can pick up a water bucket, help her water our crops. We can kill the giant worms that are kind of ruining her field. And then eventually she'll start liking us more and more, and this heart will fill up. And then we can go around to some of these other people and see what they need to do to help them. And while we're doing this, what will happen is we'll start encountering dynamic events, and so we'll get introduced to the dynamic event system as we go. And at the same time, players who need direction can use their map as sort of a to-do list to show them where there are things in the world to do. So Matthew's actually going to communicate a little bit. Oh, you can actually see here. So this villager seems like she's not doing too well. You can see a little bit of green smoke rising from the well there. You can see she's got this little poison symbol over her head. This is a good indication that something is going on in the world. If you go take a look up there, that's the water reservoir that supplies the entire town, and it's got green stuff bubbling out of it. That's a good indication that something's going wrong up there. And again, there are no quests to go accept. There's no like talking to someone and hitting accept. There's just going out in the world, seeing what's happening, looking at the consequences of what's going on. Again, these sprinklers are not supposed to be spewing green poison. They're supposed to be watering the fields. And you'll notice there are toxic grubs in the fields. That's as a direct result of the bandits poisoning the water supply up there. And there was an event there earlier where players could stop the bandits, and they didn't stop them. And so what's happened is it's changed the world because of that. We're actually going to go over here. Those bandits are a little bit out of control, and they're over here trying to burn down this farm. And so again, we don't need to accept any quests. We don't need to do anything like that. We just run out into the world, see where people need help, and we help. In this particular case, you can see this event has already started. Players are already participating in it, and Matthew was still able to run up and participate in it. He didn't have to wait for it to reset. He didn't have to get there at the beginning. He can kind of just go in and start playing and help people out. Did you go, I think there's somebody down there. Oh, they rezzed him? Okay. Don't create worms. There are no bandits. Okay. So one of the things you'll see Matthew doing here is reviving a ranger's pet, almost at the expense of him dying. You might want to heal. So he's using the heal skill here. This is one of our hold skills. The longer he holds it down, the more he heals. Another important thing to note, so you saw Matthew just revived a ranger's pet that had gone down, this dog right here actually. And that's an important thing to note. In our game, a player is able to revive any other player. You don't have to bring a skill along. You don't have to do anything special. All you need to do is go up to a downed player and you'll get a prompt to revive them. And again, we do that so that you always think of other players as being a good thing. Players are just people who can help revive you.
They'll keep coming. Grab a bucket and see.
So there are a lot of environmental objects that you can interact with in the world. Matthew just picked up a water bucket. You'll notice his skills change because of it. Now he can go dump water on things. If any of the bandits manage to light some of these hay bales on fire, he can use the bucket to put those out. He can also use the bucket to water plants in the farm, do that sort of thing. We want a lot of environmental interactions in the world. So again, player is down,